Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com again, and in this tutorial we're going to look at how to take this text area in our basic Swing application and turn it into a simple custom component. And we're also going to add some scroll bars to this text area. So at the moment the way this works is, if I look at main app, I've just got a text area which I'm adding directly into the main frame. And what I want to do is to begin to break this application down, simple though it is, into separate components so that we can work, each component can kind of take care of itself, and that the application as a whole is basically simplified as we add more stuff to it. So what I'll do is I'll create a new class here, so new class, and I'm going to use something called a JPanel, and I'm going to call my custom component, my custom class here, I'm going to call it text panel because it's a kind of panel, and I'm going to say that the superclass of text panel here is going to be a JPanel. So I'll click finish and add the import there, and panels are basically just kind of depending on your operating system colors, usually just sort of like grey flat areas which you can add to your main frame. But the great thing about them is that you can add other components into them, and that's what I'm going to do here. So to start with, I will just go back here, and so currently I'm adding a text area, and instead of this text area I'm going to get rid of it for the moment, and I'm going to say private text panel, which was the class that I just created, and I'll call that text panel. And down here where I created the text area previously, I'll say text panel equals new text panel, and here I'll add the text panel instead of the text area. And for the moment I'm just going to comment out this bit where, in response to the button click here, we append text to the panel, so I'll just comment that out. And if I run that now, this is what a panel looks like. It doesn't do anything. I can't add text to it or click on it or anything. I can click on it but nothing happens. So now I'm going to add a text area into this panel and turn it into a kind of custom control. The way to do that is I'll go to this text panel class and I'll give it a constructor, public text panel, and in the constructor I'll create a text area. So in fact I'll put a private JText area here, text area, and in the constructor I'll say that the text area equals the new JText area, and let's add the import. And I'm going to I could set the layout on the text panel, and I actually want this text area for the moment just to take up the whole panel, and I can use again border layout, so I'll say set layout new border layout. So this is actually setting the layout not on the main frame but on the JPanel here, on the text panel, which is just a kind of JPanel because it extends JPanel. So I'll say set layout new border layout, and then I can just do add text area and border layout dot center. So very simple, and I'm just gonna, by adding it into the center, since I'm adding nothing to the north, south, east or west, this text panel is just going to take up the entire area of the panel, which is what I want. Except that I'm going to do something very slightly different here, because I want the text panel to have scroll bars if the text kind of goes off the edge or off the bottom. So to achieve that, I'll just say here new JScroll pane, and to the constructor of this scroll pane I'll pass the text area. So what I'm doing is just wrapping the text area in a JScroll pane, And now if I run this, you can see we've got this. This is the text panel, and it's got this nice text area in it now. And if I just put more text in than there's room for, I get this scroll bar appears. And the same if I hit return a bit, I get a vertical scroll bar here, which is very nice. And you can use scroll bars with all kinds of different Swing components. Just wrap them in a JScroll pane. Now I want to add text into my custom my text panel, my custom component, when the button's clicked as before. So what I'll do is I'll give this a public method called, let's make it public void, and append text maybe, and that can accept a string called text. And in this method I'll just call text area, so the instance variable text area up here, text area dot append again, and I'll just add the text in there like that. So now to hook this up and get it working just as it was before, all I have to do is, back in my main frame here, I can just call text panel. So it was text area dot append, and now it's text panel dot append. So I just call it append text, I think so. Yeah, append text. And if I run that and click it, there you go. Okay, now you can see that the strategy that I'm using here, that I'm working towards, is that the main frame is creating lots of different components, just 2 at the moment actually, and those components can each be potentially quite sophisticated in themselves, and this is the beginning of a kind of model view controller architecture, which we'll get into a bit more as the tutorials progress. Now in the next tutorial we're going to look at adding a toolbar, so I'm going to move that button to a toolbar, and we're going to have a second custom component instead of this button here. So join me again next time, and until then, happy coding.